What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to review The Expanse Episode 2. Just got done playing it, and overall think this is a step in the right direction. That's kind of the theme of this review compared to Episode 1. I think we're in the right path here. I'm not sure, though, if this episode was like a slam dunk or anything super special. The amount of time that you're actually moving around and interacting with the world is still, to me, rather short, and kind of too short. We talked about that in the first episode. This one is no different, and I feel like, based off of what we know about people that were able to review episodes 1 through 3, that this is a pattern, and this is what's going to be the entire series, is episodes basically under an hour long. Now, as I've said before, really it's quality over quantity. I definitely believe that. I've kind of lived by that with games, and we've talked about that so much. But at the same time, there's the right use of time, and I feel like this game, both episode 1 and now also episode 2, would still benefit from increased time, especially this episode, as this episode was a lot stronger with the supporting cast. Now, mainly Khan and Maya, that's for sure. Everybody else a little bit pushed to the outskirts, but everybody kind of got their turn, I would say. But obviously those two were the big ones. Some things I did really enjoy, and I don't even think I talked about it too much in the first episode. I really like the whole calling thing. So when you're going around the world, again, I don't think it's used enough because you're just not doing it all that often, or you're not doing it much at all in either of these two episodes. But when you find a interactive object and you can look at it, or you can call a person that object somewhat ties to, right? So in this episode, a really big plot line was medical stuff, because Khan is doing the armed kind of surgery, which I thought that kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, I know she got like grazed in the arm. I guess it was more serious than they let on in the first episode, but I like it because it really could do one of two things, and it's how they've been using it throughout these episodes. It could tell a story, and it could be multiple things that go throughout the episode, and that's what this example is, right? So every couple minutes you'd find something new, you'd call, you'd check in on your base or your ship, and you'd kind of learn more about this side story that honestly it's not that impactful. It doesn't mean all that much, but it's something that's in the world, right? In the lore, it's happening in the background, and you can kind of keep up with it as you're going through, the mission. And then other times it'll just be to talk about whatever object it is, right? Or bring something up in the universe. Again, I've never done anything with the Expanse. This is my first thing into the Expanse, and I'm not sure it's like getting me into the universe. I don't think I'm like better off in knowledge than I was before. I'm not super interested. I feel like I care more about the characters than the overall lore, and I think that's fine, right? Drummer, I think, is a good character. I think they're building out the supporting cast. Again, though, I just don't think they really give you enough time with them. I think Drummer specifically, you spend the most time with. She talks to herself, she talks to other people. I think obviously she's the main character, and she's really solid, but then it kind of trickles down from there. This episode, of course, had action, so that was kind of interesting to see how Telltale, modern Telltale, along with Deck 9, how they would handle stuff. And the game is still a little clunky. I still like the visuals. I talked about that in the first episode, the kind of blend of their normal style along with like more realistic, right? I like how it looks visually. I think episode 1 and 2's looked really good, and I think even some of the gorier moments, people kind of get blasted in this episode. I think it looks really good, but still there's some choppiness jumping from one scene to the next, or even when you do quick time events, some of the camera back and forth is pretty sloppy, or pretty again, choppy. I think just not edited all that great, and I think that's kind of always been a staple of Telltale. Of course, though, you would hope that it would improve over time. I will say, though, I don't know if they took into account our feedback, or this was always the plan. QuickTime was a lot more difficult, or there was just more to it in this episode than the last one. There's a little gunfight that's a little bit more specific of what you have to do versus what we had. There's kind of a missile shooting out into space, right? So I think they give you more QuickTime events. I think they're better. I think they're a little bit harder because they're switching up the buttons you have to press. They're making it go faster than it was in episode 1. It's a lot better. Again, I don't know if that was planned that way, where episode 1 would start off slower and it would progressively get harder and more challenging, but they did do a pretty good job. Again, though, I just kind of come back to 2, it begins and then it kind of ends. That's the number one like I can't shake that. I'm sorry, and I know hopefully it doesn't get repetitive, in these reviews you guys click off, but I mean that's the main thing I tend to think of in this game. There's the two main sections of this episode. You're going around more ships, and I think it is kind of exciting and much better. I'd say a step forward than the open world kind of exploration in the first episode. I think it's better. I think there's almost more times that you're talking to people that kind of suck up the dead space. I feel like it keeps things going a lot better in this episode. And then the last 20 minutes is very, very character heavy, going around talking to people. And, they have the side missions. I can tell by the end results, though, including myself, a lot of people aren't doing those side missions. I did one of them, but there was a couple others getting the medicine. I couldn't find the medicine. I guess there was a thing for Khan for the arm, too, that I couldn't find. So, but it seems like based off of the poll or the results, a lot of people are just not doing it. And again, this episode, by the way, if you want like a runtime, clocked in just under 50 minutes. So I actually think it's a little bit shorter than the first episode. I almost feel like I did more outskirt stuff, like looked at things and talked to things. I did hold the sprint button more this episode than I did the last one. So I'm sure you could get an hour. Again, I understand it's quality versus quantity, but at the same time, what we're going to probably end up with is a 5-hour game. And I don't know if you can really like accomplish too much in that span of time. I am developing like a interest in a couple of these characters, but not enough. And I don't know if it's going to go anywhere fast enough, or if they're going to like give it time to breathe, I guess, right? Because we're running out of episodes. So it'll be pretty, I am excited. I am interested to see how this game goes in episode 3, 4, 5. But at the same time, I do get worried where it's like you kind of have to pick up the pace or literally like extend, like make the episodes longer so that we can kind of accomplish more in each one. I don't know. Maybe I'm focusing too much on that. You let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure as always you're subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.